All right, so I'm 17 hours into The Last of Us. So here are my impressions of the game so far. It's really good. I'm really liking it. It's much longer than the first game by a country mile. Like, it's not even close. I feel like every time I'm getting close to like some kind of climax, it just takes another turn and the game is another 3 hours, and it just keeps going. And I have to stop myself from playing because I just want to keep playing, but eventually I have to go to sleep. But yeah, so far everything in the game's working pretty well. Still waiting on that bad story to happen that I keep hearing so much about. All these user reviews on Metacritic say the game has a terrible story, and I'm still waiting to see that. I've been playing it for 17 hours. I've been actually just going straight story. Like, I've been missing a bunch of stuff. Like, I'm going to have to go through the game again to get all these collectibles I'm missing. Because I feel like if I'm not going at the story's pace, then it's not going to feel right. But whatever works, I'm going through it, enjoying the story at my own pace. But I'm not like going out of my way to get like collectibles that are on the other side of the map, And that's the thing about this game. There's a lot of big open sections, especially at the very beginning, day one. You get this big open section, you get a little map, you can go around the area. And I only went to about like 3 or 4 locations, and I left. And I was thinking, I was going to be able to go back. But no, like the story progresses, and I haven't gone back in like, 15 hours or whatever, like whenever I walked into Seattle, I haven't been back to that big open area. So it's not so much about backtracking through maps. In fact, they don't let you do that once you progress. Once you progress, you can't go backwards. So all the collecting you want to do, I suggest you do it before progressing with the story. But then again, this game is so well designed, the levels are so immaculately designed that you don't know which direction to go for the story, right? Like, there were some cases I thought, oh, I'm going to go down this path because this isn't the main story. But then it turns out it is the main story path. And that kept happening over and over. And I would get a little frustrated, be like, God, I missed that stuff. I can't go back. So that's probably the only gripe I have with the game is that I can't go back to areas. But that's what we got like chapter select for. That's what you got like new game plus for. If it does, I don't know if it does have new game plus. I haven't beat the game yet. I'm still progressing. I feel like I'm getting closer, but it still feels pretty far away. I feel like I'm getting to some kind of climax. But the leaks were very misleading. Now, there's one detail that has to do with Abby and a golf club and Joel. That stuff happens, but it happens very early on in the game, and it's actually the catalyst for the game. It's the thing that starts the game. It's the thing that starts the story. And it's crucial. It's an integral part of the whole story. Everything that happens in this game is driven by that event that happens in the first 3 hours of the game. And people on the internet want to say that that's disrespectful to the character. Well, no, it's not. That's actually the most respect you could show a character. When you kill them off and the whole story is based off what happened to them, right? It's what's driving Ellie to go after Abby. And, minor spoilers, but you probably already know this part because everybody was expecting this to happen even before the leaks came out. But Joel's death also has a huge impact on Abby. And as you get, way to the game, like 17 hours in, like I am, you get to play as Abby for a few chapters. After playing with Ellie for about, I don't know, like 10 to 15 hours maybe, then you switch to Abby. And it feels just as long. Like, she has her own skill tree, she has her own weapons, she has her own, like, way to go about areas and stuff. But there's tons. There's tons to the game. Like, after 11 hours of playing with Ellie, I only had, like, half the skill tree done, right? And I thought I was being, like, fairly thorough and collecting as much as I need. So I don't know if I'm going to go back and play as Ellie. I don't know what's going to happen with the story. I imagine we're going to switch back to Ellie soon here. But the way they structured the story so far is pretty incredible. And you don't see it much in video games or any films or TV shows or anything. And what makes the story so good is that there's no clear-cut hero or villain. You're living in this post-apocalyptic world. Everybody's killing everybody. And you constantly are like picking up notes about people that are leaving factions and they just want to live, but they can't leave because people are going to kill them. And they're like bouncing around in between different factions and they're trying to get out, but they can't. And tons of other super sad events. But what's also like incredible about the game is that it's really scary. Like, I play a a bunch of different horror games like Outlast, Resident Evil, Amnesia, Hellblade, all kinds of different stuff. And when you get to the horror parts of the game, that's like the clickers and the infected, when you get to those sections of the game, it's pretty scary. Like, I had to put down the controller and like take a breath, because when you're wearing the headphones, you're sitting in the dark and you start hearing the sounds of these infected walking around. Yeah, it gets to you. It gets to you a little bit. And that's another thing. The sound design in this game is incredible. I've never heard another game quite like it. Total immersion with all the sounds. It even has that air pressure sound. You know, like when you're standing in the middle of a parking garage and you get that like ambient sound all around you, right? It even has that kind of sound design. And when you shoot the actual like living people in any place but the head, they start moaning and screaming, and they alert the others to their position, and it's on another level. I've never really seen a game like that where you shoot somebody in the stomach and then they just start screaming because they're dying. Like, that's like next level stuff. Very disturbing, very impactful, and there's so much tension in the game that I really had to take a break like every like 2 to 3 hours. And when a game is like making you feel like that's something like really special that only comes around like once in a generation. Like, I can't even name another game that was disturbing me to the point where I had to stop playing, or was so intense that I just needed to catch my breath. Like, that doesn't really happen with a lot of games. Like, I just flew through like Resident Evil 2, right? Like nothing. Like, it wasn't even like scary. Playing Outlast for the second time, there's nothing scary about that game either, right? So there's something really special about this game. And it really sucks what's been happening to it with all the review bombs on Metacritic, with a bunch of angry bots that haven't played the game, because most of those reviews were posted within the first day of its release. And this game is super long. I'm 17 hours in, and I feel like I'm still in like the middle part of the game. Even though I might be closer than I think, I feel like the ending's pretty far away. Like, I don't see the ending in sight. And I'm just enjoying the game. I haven't really felt like this about a game since the first Last of Us. And even that game is almost nothing like this new game. The only thing that really carries over is like your weapon wheel, some upgrade systems. But in The Last of Us Part 2, all those upgrade systems and the weapon wheels, they're all improved dramatically. And the actual like control scheme is very similar to the first game. So if you just played the first game like I did on this channel, going into Last of Us Part 2, you're going to be ready to go. And once again, the level design is just incredible. Like, you can go about a level a bunch of different ways. You could stealth a whole level, you can take everybody out, you can have a huge firefight, or you could just run to the next area and dodge and weave, kill a guy here, make a distraction over there, go prone, go kill somebody else, and then make it to the door and get out of there, right? And there are some moments in this game where I don't know how they want you to play it. So there'll be times where I'm trying to stealth and I take a couple people out, and then eventually I get spotted, I shoot a couple people, and then I just bolt. And it seems like the second I start running, there's a path that just opens up in front of me like I wasn't seeing before. It's some crazy things. And if you played the game, you probably have had this experience a couple times in it by now, where you feel like you're just fucked, and you're like, I just got to bolt for it, and you do, and you just make it, and it's like a really satisfying feeling, especially when you hear like infected right on your ass, and then you get through the door, and it's just like, we made it, right? Like, it's a really relieving feeling. But that moment when you're changing from different styles of combat, and then all of a sudden you're like, all right, I'm out of options. I gotta bolt because there's no other way I can get through this. And then you get through it. It feels really satisfying. And there was just this area I was just playing in the game, and I get dropped into this area. There's a bunch of human guards patrolling around, and I, go prone underneath some object. They can't see me. And then I scoot around to the left, and then boom, I'm already at the door. Like, I just made the correct turn and I'm at the door. Like, I rarely have to restart encounters. I rarely have to restart from a checkpoint, because there's always some kind of path that's leading you to the next area. And more often than not, I'm finding it and I'm getting to the next area. And it feels like the pacing is just perfect. There's no other way to really describe it. Like, the pacing just feels so good. But yeah, the reviews were no joke. Like, everything in this game is immaculate. Like, the sound design, the graphics, the enemy AI, the way you go about the levels, the level design. It's all pitch perfect. Like, objectively speaking, this game is a masterstroke. I don't think that can be denied. I don't think anybody can really argue against that. What it really comes down to a lot of people is the story stuff, which, by the way, there's no other game that's even close to this kind of cinematic storytelling. There's a lot of narrative-driven games, but none of them are to this level of acting, this level of direction. Last of Us and Naughty Dog are just way above everybody else in the game industry as far as cutscenes and cinematics go. They're the ones to beat. And most of the people complaining about the story haven't even played the game. Like Tyrone Magnus. The guy hasn't played the game and he's just complaining about, what's in the story, even though he hasn't experienced it. And that's a lot of people. And a lot of people are going to get 3 hours into the game. They're going to see Joel die and then they're going to give up like a bunch of babies. And that's super frustrating because this game is so good. The story is super engaging. I want to see what happens next. I like the Abby character. I like her a lot. And I don't know if that's going to change as the story goes. I don't know if it's going to change. But as of right now, after seeing everything she's done and actually seeing some of her backstory, I kind of like her. She's a full developed character. Almost on par with Ellie, who I'm starting to miss now because I've been playing Abby for like a couple hours and I'm starting to miss Ellie and I want to get back to playing as her. So I can't wait to see how the game closes out. I can't wait to see what the last third of this game is because I feel like I have at least 2/3 of this game done. So like I can't wait to see how it closes out. And I really want to give a full review of it and everything and talk about more in depth with the story. Obviously, there wasn't a whole lot of spoilers in this video, just the whole Joel thing, the thing that everybody already knows. Those are my first initial impressions. Everything in the game is blowing me away. I've never played another narrative-driven game that's this polished. And yeah, there's some glitches every now and then, but nothing noticeable. Like, nothing that noticeable. Like, we're talking like once every like 8 hours, something will like bug out or something. Sometimes the animations won't look just right because you're not hitting it at the right angle. Stuff like that happens, but it's nothing to pull you out of the experience. I think that's something to be noted as well. But anyway, comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the game. How far are you in the game? I'm fucking loving it so far. It's pretty much blowing my mind. It's blowing my mind with everything they're doing. I've never really seen another story like this, so I can't wait to see how it all ends and where it goes. But yeah, that's it for now. I'm ending the video now. Comment below. Let us know what you think of Last of Us Part 2, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.
Fucking